Hello everyone, thank you for inviting me to present. My name is Silvester and I'm the President and CEO of the Vancouver Fraser Port Authority in British Columbia, Canada. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that I'm talking to you from the lands of the Musqueam, Squamish and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations peoples and to extend thanks to them. I do this to reaffirm our commitment to improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. Today, I'll provide you an overview of the state of the Port of Vancouver and give you a look at some of the ways we at the Port Authority integrate ESG factors, environmental, social and governance, into our work. What I hope you'll take away is that we are proactively working to address the risks and challenges facing the marine supply chain in order to continue enabling Canada's trade, while also striving to achieve our vision of making the Port of Vancouver the world's most sustainable port. Let's start with a brief overview of the Port Authority and the port. Then we'll go through some of our work, focusing on the three pillars of our vision. At the Vancouver Fraser Port Authority, we're an arm's-length federal agency that stewards the lands and waters of the Port of Vancouver. We're mandated to facilitate Canada's trade objectives, ensuring goods are moved safely while protecting the environment and considering local communities. We work in the public interest for the benefit of all Canadians. The port has a complex jurisdiction that borders 16 municipalities and intersects the traditional territories and treaty lands of multiple Coast Salish First Nations. We're governed by a board of 11 directors, appointed by various tiers of government. The federal government appoints 8 board members, 7 of which are recommended by port users. The province of British Columbia appoints 1 member. The prairie provinces of Alberta, Saskatchewan and Manitoba collectively appoint 1 member. And the 16 municipalities that border the Port Authority's jurisdiction collectively appoint 1 member. Board members have a fiduciary duty to the organisation, and our board sets direction and guides the Port Authority in fulfilling our mandate. Board member terms are 3 years, but the day-to-day management of the Port Authority is delegated by the board to the Chief Executive Officer, me. Turning to the port itself, the Port of Vancouver is Canada's largest port. The port is complex and includes many organisations beyond the Port Authority: terminal operators, railways, shipping lines, shippers, the Coast Guard, and so on. The port handles $1 in 3 of Canada's trading goods beyond North America, and port activity supports 115,000 port and supply chain jobs across Canada. And of course, the port is also critical to many more jobs in businesses that depend on importing and exporting goods. As I mentioned earlier, we've set a vision to make the Port of Vancouver the world's most sustainable port. We define that as a port that's globally successful at delivering economic prosperity through trade, maintaining a healthy environment, and enabling thriving communities. We approach all our work through these 3 sustainability pillars. In fact, in 2018, the Governance Professionals of Canada Excellence in Governance Awards recognized our work with their Best Practices in Sustainability and ESG award. With this background in mind, I'd now like to walk you through the work we're doing under each of these pillars. We'll begin with our pillar of ensuring economic prosperity through trade. The port has seen a strong decade of steady trade growth, even in the face of the challenges brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. This remains true both today and looking ahead. Key factors driving this growth include the diversity of cargo sectors at the Port of Vancouver, so we're not unduly affected by challenges in individual sectors. The diversity of countries that trade through the port, more than 170, and strong infrastructure investment in the gateway to create capacity and enhance fluidity. The port's continuing strong performance is enabling the Port Authority to move forward with major infrastructure projects, despite the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. These projects support trade capacity across the region and also minimize the impacts of trade on local communities, reducing emissions, reducing traffic congestion. Right now, we have more than $1 billion worth of infrastructure projects underway with partners throughout the trade corridors surrounding the port. The projects are directly supporting our region's economic recovery, as well as creating capacity for growth. They're supporting jobs by helping sustain the local companies we contract with and by injecting investment dollars into our region at what has been a very challenging time. And longer term, these projects will strengthen the region's competitiveness as a West Coast trade hub, which will have direct benefits for the region and for Canada. Focusing in on the container sector for a moment, we're growing the port's terminal capacity. Globally, containerized trade has been growing for decades due to the efficiency and cost savings that containers provide. Forecasts show that this trade on Canada's west coast is outpacing growth in port capacity. According to these forecasts, the ports of Prince Rupert and Vancouver will run out of container capacity by the mid-2020s. This is a concern for everyone, from terminals and businesses to individual Canadians who rely on the goods that move in these containers. Because our mandate is to ensure the Port of Vancouver is ready to handle Canada's future trade, the Port Authority is taking steps to make sure land is available and developed for trade to meet this capacity need. One of the ways we're working proactively to address this issue is through container capacity projects such as the proposed Roberts Bank Terminal 2 project in Delta. It's the largest project contemplated to date at this port and reflects the scale of growth in the container sector. When built, assuming it's approved, it will increase container capacity at the Port of Vancouver by a third, or 2.4 million 20-foot equivalent container units. It's in deep water, which meets both industry's need for access for larger ships and minimizes environmental impact by positioning the project away from sensitive intertidal habitat. The project has been going through a lengthy and thorough federal environmental review, and we hope a decision to approve it will be delivered towards the end of this year or early in 2022. We hope to see Terminal 2 operational by the late 2020s. Besides building and permitting infrastructure, we're also very focused on getting the best performance out of our existing supply chain. With the anticipated growth of trade through the Port of Vancouver comes an increase in marine traffic and rail traffic. The growth in vessel traffic will increase the complexity of the already complex marine supply chain. To manage this, we're building programs focused on collecting and harnessing supply chain data. The goal is to use that data to better understand and then better synchronize how supply chain stakeholders, railways, container trucks, terminals, marine carriers and shippers, how they connect and move cargo. The overall goal is to encourage the ongoing evolution of a supply chain that's both more sustainable and even more globally competitive. Now let's take a look at a small sample of the Port Authority's environmental programs, which are central to delivering on our federal mandate and to advancing our vision for the Port of Vancouver to be the world's most sustainable port. The ECHO program is a collaborative, award-winning program led by the Port Authority. Through the program, we're carrying out world-leading research to better understand and manage the cumulative effects of shipping activities on at-risk whales along BC's southern coast. A key research focus is underwater noise from large ocean-going ships and the effect on that noise on species such as the southern resident killer whales, of which there are fewer than 75 left. We've presented our ECHO program research findings to the UN and the International Maritime Organization to advance the whole industry's understanding of human-caused underwater noise and what we can do about it. Earlier this month, the ECHO program launched its 5th year of coordinating underwater noise reduction initiatives. Program results so far include 80% participation rates, over 80 shipping organizations and over 6,000 ships for 3 voluntary slowdown initiatives last year, and nearly a 50% reduction in underwater sound intensity in key areas critical to southern resident killer whales. This program is making a material difference in delivering a quieter marine environment for these whales, which hunt salmon by echolocation. We're also working on reducing air emissions. We know that some of the older equipment on terminals at the Port of Vancouver can be a significant source of diesel particulate matter, a known carcinogen. In 2015, the Port Authority was among the first ports globally to implement a fee program to promote the phase-out of old, high-emitting diesel off-road equipment. We offer a rebate to terminal operators who replace, retrofit, or retire older diesel-powered equipment to help improve our local air quality. And we work to create a new marine habitat to maintain balance between healthy environment and future development that may be required for port operations. This habitat work often includes partnerships with municipalities and indigenous groups, as well as engagement with environmental groups and the public. As I mentioned earlier, these programs represent just a handful of the environmental initiatives we're leading or involved in, and they play an important part in helping us work towards our vision. And now for our third pillar. Here are a few of the ways we're working to help local communities thrive. We work closely with industries, communities, indigenous groups, government, and others in the port community to address noise, congestion, and other impacts of port operations, to seek input on port-related projects, and support operations that benefit people who live and work near the port. We design our infrastructure projects to both enable trade, but we can also focus on meeting community needs. Our projects are also designed to create opportunities for better walking and cycling connections, and they may support whistle cessation for communities who are affected by train whistling. In fact, the project picture here was the first transportation project in North America to be awarded an Envision Platinum Award by the Institute for Sustainable Infrastructure. For Port Authority-led projects, we undertake public engagement following international best practices. This allows community members to learn about projects, provide feedback, and help shape the projects we deliver in the end. And we're actively working to strengthen our relationships with Indigenous groups in our jurisdiction. Engaging with Indigenous communities gives us a chance to make sure the work we're doing at the Port Authority is benefiting all Canadians. Building relationships with Indigenous communities is not only part of our federal mandate, it allows us to learn from their expertise, giving us a more holistic view of the way we manage the port lands and waters. And this expertise can also assist us in managing projects more efficiently and targeting projects that Indigenous communities also view as a priority. Additionally, we invest in communities local to the port in various ways, seeking to help create strong, vibrant port communities via our broad-ranging community investment program. Through this program, we dedicate up to 1% of our net income to support projects and initiatives in the communities around us that align with our vision. We also support charities, host community events like Canada Day at Canada Place in Vancouver, and lead delivery of community amenity projects linked to our infrastructure projects. So to close out, in this presentation, I've tried to give you an overview of the ways that we at the Port Authority integrate ESG factors into our work. What I hope you'll take away is that we're proactively working to both enable Canada's trade objectives, while also striving to make the Port of Vancouver the world's most sustainable port by helping ensure a healthy environment and thriving communities around us. Thank you very much for your time.